Did it work?
It did.
But say my corner says live on YouTube up in the corner of my iPad.
It does now. My technology genius of turn it off and turn it on. Wait for it to dial back in.
Okay.
Missing Gary.
Gary. And Darlissa.
Oh, and Darlissa, yeah.
There's Gary. So we are just missing Darlissa, and then we're good to go. Anybody who may be watching live on YouTube, our apologies. We're running a little late due to some technical snafus.
Want me to try calling her?
Yeah, maybe she's having trouble getting back in.
Yeah. Did you rejoin? Yeah, we're all on. We're all waiting for you to get in. But not you this time. Okay. All right, bye. All right, she said she's coming on.
Okay. All right. Well, while Darlissa calls in, let's get the meeting started and we'll get through the formalities. I'd like to call this meeting of the Shelton Charter Revision Commission to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the
to
republic
the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not in yet. You guys want to wait another minute before we dive in, or should we dive in?
Sure.
I think we might as well get started.
Okay. So here's where we are. We are in the final mile. Basically what we've done. Oh, there's Darlissa. Perfect. Perfect timing, Darlissa. There we go. We did the pledge, Darlissa, so perfect timing.
Okay, thank you.
So here's where we are on the field. We are in the home stretch. Right now, we've gone through our public hearing, and we are now in a place where we can consider feedback from a number of sources in finalizing the document with an eye towards getting this over to the Board of Aldermen by July 4th. So here's what we have. We have basically two sets of things to talk about. One is Darlissa and Leanne have taken a cut at going through and again, finding other inconsistencies and other issues that we're going to want to incorporate. And then I have a document that I sent out that has 4 things in it. Some of the suggestions from the public hearing that I thought were good. So it's my opinion. Other people can, of course, add in things from the public hearing that you thought were important. Comments from Corporation Counsel. Comments from John Anglaise, who called me and had some comments that he wanted us to consider. And then just my own observations of a couple, speak now or forever hold your peace. I would categorize 90% of these as a clerical, right? They're wordos, but there are some serious issues that we need to consider. So with that, kind of the way I see us rolling out is tonight we're going to walk through the document. And I actually want to walk through chapter by chapter and just talk about the changes, the questions that I've collected, and any changes from Darlissa and Ruth Ann. And then what we're going to do is after we've gone through all of this, Frank Kudos, our Corporation Counsel, said, give it back to me. I'm going to look it over one more time for word edits, right? Because he looked at it from a legal perspective. Now he's going to look at it from a word perspective. We'll have one more workshop next Monday. And then later next week, we'll have a meeting to actually vote on recommending this to the Board of Aldermen. So we are in a speak now or forever hold your peace mode now that, our primary work is going to be done in the next 2 weeks. Questions, comments on that?
So
Sounds like a plan, really.
hey, Dan, just to clarify, I guess we present this to the Board of Aldermen.
Correct.
There's one more public hearing.
Correct.
Out of that, somebody could have a terrific idea, right? The
Yep.
board have to send that back to us.
Correct. If the Board of Aldermen makes any edits or changes, it has to come back to us for approval. And we could do that rapid fire, right? They could send it back to us one day and we can send it back to them the next. But
Okay.
we have to be in agreement with the Board of Aldermen to send it to the voters.
Right. So, I mean, the only thing I'd recommend if anybody wants to go, maybe when they have their public hearing, somebody should attend or.
Yeah, and I talked to John today. So for the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to present this to the Board of Aldermen. So not in a public hearing, but we're literally going to present our findings to them at one of their regular scheduled meetings.
Okay.
The public hearing, I think we should definitely go and say why we think this is the right thing to do.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'm good with that.
Good. So what I would propose, and let me know, Darlissa and Ruth Ann, if you guys are okay with this, is I was going to walk through my version. And then as I go through, can you call out kind of chapter by chapter where you had changes? Because I couldn't tell from the document that I saw where the changes were.
Okay.
Dan, this is Darlie. So were you able to pick up the new copy that Sophia left us at the public hearing?
The new copy that Sophia I don't have that, no.
Okay. Because that's my final one here, and there were just a couple things. But she did a wonderful job. Thank you, Sophia. The spacing looks good. A lot of the suggestions for that Ruth Ann and I made were fixed. So if you bring up something and I see it in here or Ruth Ann does, then we'll tell you, okay, that's already been done.
Got it. Because what you're looking at is this is the version from 6.9. So this is the public hearing. So anything that you guys changed after 6.9 is not reflected in this document.
Okay.
And so just let me know where those are, and we'll make sure that I want to make sure we don't have version control on this. Okay. So let's walk through preamble. No comments. I assume no comments from you, Darlissa, and
Right.
Chapter 1, nothing.
I don't think so.
No.
Chapter 2, there was a grammar fix here. The registrar of voters shall designate the polling places for each ward rather than of each ward.
Mhm.
For, okay.
Yep.
And
So it's for, not of?
that's right. And Sophia, assume I have the master of this right now, so you don't have to keep track of it.
Yeah, I'm just doing it for my own,
As we go.
Okay.
And that was it for chapter 2. Charlotte and Ruthie, did you guys have anything else in chapter 2?
No, except, nope, we made that change. Sophia's right on it. For 2.9 wards, it's Connecticut general statute instead of state statute. She fixed it.
Yep, and that's one of it was a good comment from Michelle that we have to fix overall from the public hearing. All right, chapter 3, the mayor. I did not have any comments in chapter 3.
I don't think so either.
No, I'm good for 3.
Got it. Chapter 4. So this was something that John Anglis brought up to me, and I think he may be right. Is all, and again, this is semantics, but all throughout this document, in different sections, it refers to the board or the commission. And it defines the board up front as the Board of Aldermen. And so technically, anytime it mentions the board, it's referring to the Board of Aldermen. But it's actually not. In different sections, it's actually referring to the board the section is about. John's point, and I think he's right, is we should just spell it out all the time, right? Don't make it ambiguous. Just always say Board of Aldermen or Board of Education or Board of whatever. And I think he's right. It's like, and John's suggestion was to use acronyms. I don't like that suggestion as much. I just think we should spell it out.
I think that's a good call.
Yeah.
Okay, there's gonna be a lot of that then. Sorry, Sophia.
Yes. There's another John one. It says my name next to it because I actually wrote it down because we were just on the phone. But he said, in actuality, the meeting schedule is not done by ordinance. It's done by resolution. And so we said we should change that because that's how they do it. That was fine with that.
By resolution.
And then this is just a clarification I put in, right? Like basically the Board of Aldermen is going to have the power to create, consolidate, or abolish offices, boards, or commissions and define their powers and duties not defined in this charter, right? They can't abolish something that's in the charter.
Mhm.
This was a question that I was talking to John about is, you know, the boards, we had said that within 90 days after taking office, the board shall approve or reject all nominations from the mayor. Question was, should that be from taking office or from the day the nomination happens? Right? Because this kind of implies, this doesn't take into account vacancies, but should it be, you know, if it's done on, if a nomination comes in March 1st, they have until June 1st. I don't know what people think about that.
So you're saying it's too long of a period of time.
Just that the starting point might be different, right?
Mhm.
I would think it'd be from the point of election. Otherwise, it doesn't have any teeth at all.
Right. I agree with you, Don.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah,
Likewise.
makes sense.
This was a request from John, and I don't know, I don't feel strongly about it, but he said he wanted to change the name of the clerk of the board to the administrative secretary because he felt like that was more descriptive of what they do. I again don't feel very strongly one way or the other.
I mean, if that's what he wants, it makes no difference to me. Unless clerk is getting confused with the town clerk, city clerk, that term.
And would it have to be a merit kind of job? If you said a clerk, wouldn't that infer that we needed to take a test? What do you think, Sophia? Let's get her opinion.
no,
Oh, you're on mute, Sophia.
We lost you.
On mute, Sophia.
okay. The clerk for the Board of Aldermen doesn't take a test. She's appointed.
Okay.
you like, is that a good change, Sophia? That's what John requested. I have no.
It's never been an administrative assistant. That's not what her job is. When I think of administrative assistant, I think of, like executive secretary. I mean, which she is. I wouldn't say she's an administrative assistant, but if that's what John wants.
His
He is
first-
in-
What about
I
just,
know that the job description is clerk for the Board of Aldermen.
Yeah. I'm okay either way, guys.
I am too.
I,
I doubt John's gonna vote no because of this. So if we want to take this one off, we can.
Okay.
Okay.
Unless you just call it secretary.
yeah, that's what I suggested.
Because they don't call them secretaries anymore.
Is that sexist?
They call them administrative assistants, so.
Then I would leave it.
I think leave it because the job description really fits clerking.
Yep.
So it's reasonable.
Okay. I'm fine with that. Yeah, nothing else in chapter 4. Did you guys have anything else in chapter 4?
I don't think so.
Hang on.
Oops.
No, I'm good with 4.
Cool. All right, chapter 5. Now we hit the first substantive issue.
Yes.
This is from, so the biggest thing Corporation Counsel called out, he said, everything you guys have done is totally within state statutes, totally within your purview. The one where it gets tricky, and this is where the language is very confusing, but basically he believes, and I talked to him today at 5, so he's doing more research on this. He believes that if you are going to go to a majority 6 people on the Board of Education, under the description of the section that we have that OLR report on, you need to have a 4-year term. And he said he thinks there is an exception to that, but he needs to research it because the language in the statute is very confusing. So we may be in a situation where if we want that to be true, we also need to make it a 4-year term. Or there may be alternatives around that, like other conditions can be met that allow you to do it. So that's just he is researching that.
I don't agree with him.
Okay.
Oh, they went over to Grandma's house to try him on this cell phone.
The issue, Gary, that I see is so here's where, let me stop sharing this screen. Let me start sharing, where is it? Share this screen, although not that document because you guys don't care about how many mattresses we sell. Let's look at this. So the thing I see, Gary, is I was looking back and I said, oh, is there a counter example? And there isn't, right? Which is why he may be right. And so if you look at places where there's a maximum of 6 on a 9-member board, it's a 4-year term. The exception of that is Derby, but they do it by ward, right? And they have minority representation there, but because it's done by ward, the requirements of statute go away, as we know, like it does in Milford. For all these other ones, if you got max 6, it's a 4-year term. So this is where literally I just talked to him 2 hours ago. So do I know he's right? No, I don't. I haven't researched it either, but this is one of the big substantive issues that, it may need to be a 4-year term if we're going to follow the chart that we put in.
Yeah, but then again, and I would like to talk to him because I would make the argument of that Supreme Court case.
Yeah. Gary, that's a lot to hang our hat on.
You think? Not the lawyers I've talked to. So
So this isn't quite a debate yet, right? But the debate could become, do you want, what's the most important thing? Is it the term? Is it the minority representation? Or do you
Yep.
want to be a test case in front of the Connecticut Supreme Court?
Right, I get you.
So that's where this, what we might be there, but let's give Fran a chance to research it more, and come back to us with potential ideas. But this
Okay.
is the one substantive one that just I was like, oh, okay, that's true. That is we have to deliberate more, because that's not a slam dunk. All right.
Okay.
Let me go back. Where's my Word document? Oh, there we go. Okay. So that was the first thing in chapter 5. Let's see, going down. Same thing here, right? Like the spelling out of the Board of Education, right? So that's going to be throughout the document. This was a question I had.
Mhm.
In looking at the library board, right? Like I was just rereading everything, and it said here, it's talking about fund that they have, right? And so it says, I'll pick a point to start. The board shall make and adopt bylaws, rules, and regulations for government of the library, and reading rooms shall have exclusive control of the expenditures of all money collected to the credit of the library fund. Have supervision, care, and custody of the grounds, rooms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it says it shall be drawn upon by the proper officers of the city upon duly authenticated vouchers of the directors. And so this is, I was like, who is that? Right? Like who? Nowhere are we defined
Yeah.
directors here.
Isn't the library director a paid position?
It is, and this is where I was like, if this is saying that, hey, the people who get to spend money out of the fund, the vouchers should be authorized by the chairman of the library board, right?
Or the board, yeah.
Or the board,
Mhm.
right? Not the library director, or not some other directors.
Correct.
Right. So that has to be reworded then.
That's what I thought too.
That's probably what that means, is the vouchers of the directors, and they're calling them library directors.
Right. That's what my gut was. 'Cause I didn't know of another board or another body that had directors.
Right.
Okay. All right, there's that. Now here's Ginny's comments from the public hearing, which I thought both were good. One was we want to eliminate this line, right? Because we eliminated it for everybody else, right? So that just seems consistent. And then she asked that we add in a section on the chairman, kind of parallel to what the Board of Education has. Oops. Which basically says, you know, you will elect a chairman.
You could actually cut and paste that entire thing
It's-
and it'll fit perfectly under planning and zoning as B.
Exactly.
You know what, Dan, and somebody brought this up, and I know we debated an alternate to a party. They said, what if an independent gets elected,
As an alternate.
or as a member? And they don't really have an alternate then.
That would be true. That would be true under this language.
So maybe that doesn't make sense.
It's the trade-off, right? What's the probability of that happening versus the benefit of saying, hey, we're not gonna, because you have to recuse yourself, your vote gets given to somebody of an opposite political party. To me, the probability of that happening is small. And if it did happen, then, look, no, under this language for the alternate, nobody but a member of a political party is going to run, right? So an independent is not going to run. But for the actual board, yeah, that's right. If an independent got elected to planning and zoning, or a member of another party, they would not have an alternate.
Right, and I guess that party, if they were running somebody, could run somebody as an alternate.
That is true. That they could do. You are right about that.
Just as an aside, what if an alternate was necessary if both alternates came into play?
Well, that's the other argument.
Well, in other words, if you need one, they both have the option of participating in that meeting. I think that it was kind of interesting that she voiced the concern about the partisanship, you know.
Yeah.
And, so again, if you're short, you need one, you take two.
So is there a desire to change? So first off, I'm assuming everyone's in sync with Ginny's feedback. But then is there any desire to revisit the alternates?
Well, the only part that I liked when she said that about the alternates is to revise the quorum to make it 4 members. She added that part.
Yeah, that's what it would be. We don't need to spell that out because it's spelled out elsewhere in the charter. but
Okay.
Present and voting. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. This was just a question.
How did we resolve that?
Oh, I don't know. Nobody said anything. So I'll give you my opinion. I like having the alternates substitute only for the same member of the political party, because it's kind of like, hey, if you actually have a 4-3 majority of Democrats over Republicans, right? Why should, just because a Democrat has a conflict of interest because it's his cousin that's making the application, why should it be allowed to be flipped to 4-3 the other way? Right, like the voters voted for a 4-3 Democratic majority over Republicans. Why should somebody recusing themselves from a conflict of interest flip that?
Well, Dan, how about the idea that you're introducing partisanship into a system that may kind of get balanced over time, but you're continually introducing this idea of partisanship. I don't want to not to beat a dead horse, but why wouldn't you just listen? If you needed one, let the two participate. And then you're not dealing with the issue of introducing this Democratic Republican thing.
But you're saying if you need one alternate, let both vote?
Can both the option of participating.
No, you can't. I don't think you do that. 'Cause my problem with just putting one up is they're not duly elected. If they were elected, I could care less about party.
How does that go to the issue here? Help me out with that.
You basically, you have the 2 town committees. They are both nominating a alternate to this part. They're not nominating 2. So at a meeting in July of one year, 20 people will sit in a room and represent the Democratic Party, and 25 or 40, whatever the number is, the Republicans sit there and they're going to nominate a member that's going to be voting on zoning issues. They're not elected. They're really appointed by that small group. And
That's even a bigger problem.
Yeah.
That's even more reason to let 2 participate for me.
That's I don't think I want to make sure I understand what Don's saying. So we have our 7 members. One of them recuses themselves. Are you saying that now 8 people can vote? That both alternates can vote?
Right.
That's what I want to see. So now you have 8 people voting. What are folks? That wasn't clicking with me. What do people think about that?
no, I don't, because that means if one's absent, now you got 2 more votes. That don't make sense to me.
What's the advantage of that?
Yeah. Well, the advantage from my perspective is you're not introducing this idea of partisanship continuously, as somebody is.
I'm not sure it is.
Continuously, it feeds this separation. A committee can grow, can mature without even mentioning the word Republican or Democrat over time.
I know that, but they're elected through minority representation. So, if you got a conflict, that it's really they're not really elected, even with the 5-2 split. That's not the will of the people. It's the will of the party that's being represented by state statutes.
How many alternates are there now?
Two.
one, but you could put two of them up. You could put two up and one wins.
No, Gary, there actually are two.
There are two?
There are two. Right now, there's one Republican and one Democrat win.
Mhm.
And the way it is right now is, and the way the original language read, if you look here, it says, if the alternate from the same political party is not available, then the chairman shall select the second alternate. So the way it goes right now is the first option has to be the person from the same party. But then if they're not available, then the other alternate gets to step in. Right? The change we made was saying, nope, that second option wasn't available. And we can remove people if people want.
Well, maybe that is the compromise then from what you're talking and I'm talking, Don, is then the chairman gets to pick. If the party's not available, it goes to this way you at least have a quorum or what have you. Right? I mean,
It's not a compromise, but if that's what it is, that's what it is.
Well, that's what it is today, by the way. That would be a leave it alone, leave it as it is.
leave it alone type of thing. Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, my position's always been that it's the party's responsibility to nominate. It's the public's right to pick who they want on boards and commissions or on elected offices.
Mhm.
The public decides, not the party, the public.
I vote for leave it alone as written.
As originally written, Darlis, or as we changed it?
Well, this is the new copy. There shall be 2 alternate members elected to the Planning and Zoning Commission as provided. Section, no more than one of whom shall be from the same political party. The alternate members shall hold no other elected or appointed office within the city. The chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission shall, when a regular meeting is unavailable, to participate, select an alternate in place of such member from the same political party as the member who is otherwise unable to participate. Alternates may only substitute for a member of the same political party. It's short, it's sweet, it's succinct. I don't think you could read much into that. It's like, okay. It's sensible. I think it makes sense.
Go ahead, Dave.
I said, we don't address the independent issue of someone an independent should get on?
Yeah, that's the issue here, right? Is, and this is where, like,
Yeah.
talking about it, I'm changing my mind a little bit, which is that, because there are benefits to how we wrote it, right? There are benefits to say, yep, that you want to have a Republican substitute for a Republican. But as I read the original language, that actually is the first stop, right? The first stop is someone from the same political party. All this says is if that person's not available, then the person from any party could do it. And to your point, Dave, this is where if an independent, under the original language, if an independent were elected, then and there wasn't an independent alternate, then the chairman could pick an alternate.
Right.
Right. Now you're giving the chairman a little bit of leeway there, because of course the chairman's probably going to pick somebody from their own party.
Right.
But you're giving him leeway.
Do we have flexibility to include it like a what if clause in the event that there is an independent person serving on the board? Then we can have an independent alternate?
Well, I think the last statement gives you that. Alternates may only substitute for a member of the same political party. So if it's an unaffiliated political party, then so be it.
Okay, so they will have that opportunity.
As I'm reading it, that's what I understand.
Then that's fine.
I would say, whatever party they're
So you're,
on. Go ahead, Rue.
What do you think?
oh no, I was just saying, so a Republican or a Democrat could, if that's what the alternates are, they have to vote. So they have to go towards the independent. So how does that work?
Well,
They're not going to be,
yeah, it
Go ahead.
depends which language we keep, right? If we keep the original language, So if we got rid of this last sentence, right? If we got rid of the alternates may only substitute for a member of the political party, and reinstated the sentence before it, the effect that would have is to say that, look, the first choice is always somebody from the party, right? So if a Democrat's abstaining, first choice is a Democrat. But then if not, right, then it could be the other alternate. If it's an independent under that language, well, there probably won't be an independent alternate. So the chairman could pick the Democrat or
Exactly.
Right. I think that's the best you're gonna be able to do.
Yeah.
got it. So are folks saying here to like, and I just want to make sure I'm understanding, because I think Darlissa said the opposite. So I want to go back to Darlissa. Do we want to reinstate original language here? Which would mean first stop, same party, then go to other alternate.
That's fine.
Okay?
Yeah.
Everybody comfortable with that, or does anybody want to argue for the alternates may only substitute for a member of the same political party? Okay.
I'm fine with the original.
Yeah,
I think the original language says the same thing, so cross out that sentence. Why be redundant?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, good. That was a substantive change. Okay, back to unsubstantive changes. This was just a correction. This said and before, it should say a. Not important. So here's one where I was thinking about this with John, was saying that John actually felt that rather than 7 members, the technology committee really should have 9. And John's logic for this, which he's a spry 84-year-old, he probably knows more about technology than I do, was you need different specialties on this board. And you're going to imagine that, there's probably going to be at least one member of the Board of Education on this, right? Who's going to want to be on this. You're going to have, probably at least, one other, member who's affiliated with the Board of Aldermen on this. You probably want to increase the number. So you have a hardware expert. So you have a cloud expert. So you have a software as a service expert. Right. So you're building expertise into the committee by having more people on it. And this is where, as was evidence from the beginning of this meeting, is I obviously am not qualified to serve on the technology committee. But John's argument made sense to me that, hey, you want to enlarge the committee to get more expertise, because very often in technology, different expertise exists in different people. I buy it.
Makes sense.
Sounds logical.
Yeah, I agree.
So we'll move that up.
Okay.
We're changing that to 9.
Change that to 9.
And are there still 3 with 3 of those members being recommended for nomination by the Board of Ed?
Yep.
Or to the mayor, or more than 3, since we're increasing, it's still going to be only 3.
I would think we would keep it at 3.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that. I just question it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to throw a monkey wrench. Could you say up to 9?
No, 9. He said
9.
9. Okay.
Okay. Then this one, so this is another change that John had that I didn't like, right? He basically, this one I didn't like. He said, just rather than saying, this is for the Public Employees Appeals Board, which is for anybody who's not in a union. So basically it says the board shall hear within 20 days the appeal of any, he just wanted to put in non-union employee of the city and get rid of unless covered by a collective bargaining grievance procedure. So it's a word out, it doesn't really do anything. And I actually like the wording of unless covered by a collective bargaining agreement grievance procedure better.
Yeah, I agree.
Non-union employee.
And is that the board is going to be the Board of Aldermen there?
No, this is one of those changes. It's the Public Employee Appeals.
Oh, that's the public, that,
Yeah.
okay.
This,
Okay.
this is John's point, which I thought was really good, is it keeps saying,
Yeah.
board, and we got like 60 boards in here. So let's
So we
add
have to put the Board of Public Employee Appeal, or the Public Appeals Board. Yeah, okay,
That's something I'm gonna go back and do everywhere.
okay.
Let's get rid of this. I'm not gonna do that. Oh, this was one from John as well, saying that this is actually, just say ordinance change because the ethics code is an ordinance. I said, okay.
Okay. Hey, Dan, did you go over the zoning board of appeals? Did we look up the state statutes on that?
ZBA.
I-
No, do you mean Board of Assessment Appeals?
No, board of zoning appeals. I talked to the chairman. He thought, I'm not sure, I did not check it, that they have, right now, they have 5 members, right? And they have 3 alternate members, and they're all, terms are staggered, 1 per year.
Oh,
That's how, and I didn't know if that was in statute, and now that's what, so they all serve, which has not been in our charter. But Sophia gave us their appointment, and they are a 5-year term. We thought that they were at one point, picked for life.
right.
But he thought it'd be 1 per year, and that's why they came out with a 5-year term.
Got it.
I didn't know if that was state statutes or not.
I doubt it, but I'll check.
Okay, and then then I guess 1-2 people get picked in a year.
Well, no, this would go for the alternations, the staggered terms, how I would picture it would be every 2 years, you would pick either 3 or 2.
Mhm.
Well, what his argument was to keep the continuity from everybody on their commission would be to keep it on a staggered 1-year term, and then 1 year you pick 2, and then it kind of falls into place.
Yeah, that would be different from how everybody else does it, though.
Okay, well then just check that out with state statute. That's what he brought to me.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. Good. That's in there.
Okay, we left off on Board of Ethics, Dan.
Yes, thank you. That was just ordinance change. And then down here, this was just a wording edit that I had to my own words, was the Board of Aldermen may establish by resolution for all city boards and commissions, I think that was clear in my sentence, rules regarding participating in voting meetings when not physically present in line with Connecticut state statutes.
And change Connecticut state statute to general.
Yep, I got to do that globally. Let me put a comment somewhere. Put a comment here, another new comment. Global change from Connecticut state statutes to Connecticut general statutes. Perfect. All right, this is now, it becomes an A because it's no longer a vowel. Super interesting. Question from John was, should we if we have this weird saying in here, it's probably from where the position started, but it says the chief of staff shall devote his or her full time to the duties of his or her office. John basically said, should we just specify that this is a full-time job? I said, yeah, that's seems reasonable. It's written kind of clunky.
Right.
Yes.
Is everyone in agreement with that? Make that change. Oh, sorry, Darlissa and Ruth Ann, did you guys have any other changes from your copy in chapter 5?
No, you picked up the general statute one on 19.
Right. I mean, we had a bunch, but I think they were all corrected.
Okay,
Yeah. And if you're going to do a global check, that'll take care of that.
good. So this was an interesting one. So John said, right now, the Department of Public Works handles all the maintenance and construction of everything except where the Parks and Rec is designated and the Board of Education. But if the Board of Education requests it, the city has to provide work. But on the charter, the Board of Education has to reimburse it. John says that the city has been doing stuff for the Board of Ed and hasn't charged them. And
That's correct.
he doesn't want to. So this was a change, the shall to may. Right, so that, and it gives the city the right to do free work for the Board of Education if they want to, and not charge them.
Mhm.
But they can charge them if they want. People okay with that change?
Mhm. That's
Mhm.
good.
I'm okay.
Dan, can you go back to 6.2.1 under corporate counsel?
Yes. Yep.
All right. We have in the very first, the second line, there's only 2 lines. To
Yep.
practice law in the state of Connecticut,
Got it.
because we could have any state, you know.
Doesn't do much good for them to be barristers in New Hampshire. Yes. Good. Okay. May. Missed that we had was, so EMS has their commission, but right now it's backwards relative to how we set up the rest of the charter. It is appointed by the Board of Aldermen, subject to the confirmation of the mayor, where it should be reversed. The mayor should nominate, the Board of Aldermen should approve.
Okay.
Reaction to that?
Okay,
Well, it works good as it is. I haven't heard any complaints.
No complaints, making it consistent, right? Like it's basically, look, right now, this has Board of Aldermen nominate, mayor confirms. Everything else we set up was mayor nominates, Board of Aldermen confirms.
confirm.
So I would just flip it.
So we're
I
gonna
think
keep,
it's
we're gonna
consistent,
stay consistent, yes.
keep it consistent.
I mean, the mayor and the Board of Aldermen still have to agree.
But is this under Board of Aldermen appointed, or is this under the Board of, or the mayor appointing?
So this is, so we got rid of the Board of Aldermen appointed. Board of Aldermen doesn't have appointments anymore. They approve.
Right, but I mean, there's different sections. So one is appointed by the Board of Aldermen and one's appointed by the mayor. I don't know where 6.9 falls.
Yeah, so we got rid, Sophia, we got rid of that section appointed by the Aldermen.
Okay,
It's no longer a section.
completely. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
And if you go back to 6.9.3.1, we
Yeah.
just have a, no, actually it's 3.2. We need a period at the end of the sentence.
6,
City
9.
of Shelton, first, let's see. After the 2 years and shall be an elector of the city of Shelton, period. That didn't come out on the last copy. So just double check that.
Oh, just some copy and paste errors, right? This is not the administrator, it's the director of Parks and Services. And it's the manager, not the administrator for conservation, titles. Anything else that you guys told us and Ruth Ann had in chapter 6?
I don't think so.
Yep, I'm good. For the 6, chapter 6.
Added in here, copies of the proposed budget from the mayor will be available to the public and on the city website. A request from John that we say the Board of Aldermen shall have at least one public hearing and other budget workshops.
Hey, Dan, I want to go back to the fire marshal.
Fire.
Yeah,
That's
did someone say that the fire marshal is kind of like has all the gets his powers from state statutes
Yep,
and is an employee of the city?
yep,
He report to the Board of Fire Commissioners,
that's correct.
and that's in state statute?
That's in the state statute I saw.
And I didn't hear what you just said.
I'm sorry, that's in the state statute I saw. I was sent a state stat when I went and asked, they sent me the state statute that says if you have a board of fire commissioners, the fire marshal must report to them. If you
Okay.
don't, then you don't. But if you do have a board of fire commissioners, that's what they report.
Okay.
Okay. All right, that's what I have for chapter 6. Chapter 7. Yeah, available on the city website. Talked about that one. This is where we were. Replacing other public hearings with budget workshops, which is what they actually do. And so I just wanted to put that into charter. Seemed reasonable to me.
Mhm.
okay.
Here we missed one. Notice of such hearing, this is hearing for appropriations above and beyond the budget. Notice of such hearing shall be given in the newspaper, having substantial circulation, blah, blah, blah. Going to replace that with the city website and per Connecticut general statute. Just to make it consistent. The one that, and this was from John, he said, with the line item transfer power that we're moving from the Board of A&T to the Board of Aldermen, he just wanted the language in there like the Board of Aldermen or a subcommittee of the Board of Aldermen designated by them, because in actuality, it's the finance committee of the Board of Aldermen who does this. So, it's not the full Board of Aldermen. So he just wanted to make that clear.
Do you want to actually use the language, the finance committee of the Board of Ed? I mean, of the Board of Aldermen?
I was thinking about that, Darlison, but we don't define it anywhere in the
Okay.
document. So we'd have to go back and define it. I'd rather leave it loose and let them
Okay.
just do it internally with their own rules.
Okay.
Just as we go through this, just as a courtesy, we did have 2 people, actually 3 show up regarding the Board of Apportionment and Taxation.
Yeah.
So just as a courtesy, I've gone through this document in this section. And, I realized I can see the frustrations and I can see the language in the code that's created the frustrations. But the idea of having a board, that board that can intervene and actually get involved in the managerial process between the department head and the executive. I've looked at that section and I understand their frustration, but I see no purpose to that board. I don't see that being a positive influence in this process at all. And I do see their frustration. I don't think it's a real robust budget process. I'm not sure it's transparent. And I'm sure there are issues where you could improve, but it's really a managerial decision. I don't think that board accomplishes anything.
Yeah,
So just as a footnote, those are my thoughts on that.
You're right. And we talked about this a lot last time. And as I was reflecting on it, after the meeting, I was like, there actually is a role, because the role that they were describing for the Board of A&T is what in democratic theory, we call the role of the loyal opposition, right? You actually want somebody holding those in power accountable, usually of a different party. But you don't need the Board of A&T to do that, right? Like the party out of power should be holding the party in power accountable, right? And then let the public see that and let the public decide, right? That's the democracy we have. You don't need the Board of A&T to fulfill that function, because when they were saying check and balance, it's not a check and balance. They have no power, right? At the end of the day, the Board of Aldermen can do whatever they want, regardless of A&T. So the thing that they want to do is important, right? It's important to have a loyal opposition who's holding those in power accountable. This isn't the structure that does that.
No, I agree with you. And the problem with public budgeting is for years, it's been form over substance.
Mhm.
You know, budgets, whether it's management by objectives or program planning, budgeting, building and performance metrics, you can make a budget look great. Okay, but it doesn't necessarily get the job done.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're right,
And
Don.
and when you look at, you know, you can discuss the problem Shelton has, and Mark and I disagree on a whole host of issues, ask them, okay? But when you look at Shelton and you look at some of the incredible things about Shelton, you look at you know, one of the largest volunteer fire departments in the state, you look at a great police department, you look at an incredible conservation commission, you look at the cadre of volunteers, all the people I've worked with over 25 years on school building committees. I mean, people sweat blood for this town. And when Mark said there's a lot of people out there making him look good, he meant it. Okay, there's great things that go on in this town. And again, I disagree with a lot of stuff. Okay, but the idea is not to build in an antagonistic element that just is there just to do that. And so.
Yep, I'm in agreement.
I agree with you.
But thank you for bringing that up, Don, because you're right. We should address that feedback we got. I agree. Okay, so moving on. Oh, second comment from Corporation Counsel, and he was like, "This does nothing except get out of the underbelly here," which is basically he's like, Section 710 is actually hugely important. He's like, the board of all, and we're not changing it at all. The Board of Aldermen are the budget making authority and the legislative body of the city and shall have the powers and duties. He's like, move that up to the Board of Aldermen section. He's like, that's too important a statement to be buried back here. I thought that made sense to me.
Okay.
That does make sense. And don't forget to put state of Connecticut.
Yep. Yes, I'll make that a global change.
Yeah, this state.
All this, the purchasing stuff.
And then Sophia, that's going to change our numbers again.
All our numbers, yeah.
Oy, oy, oy.
Okay, here's the next substantive one from John, where John said, hey, you know, I like going up to 3. He said that made sense to me. He's like, you guys having it go up to 4. He's like, we might not need that much leeway. You know, he basically said, look, you know, there's always the temptation if you give a board a power that they're likely to use it. And he's like, there does come a point where you want to get voter permission to spend, you know, what is a significant amount of money. And so, you know, his thought was, hey, I'm great with the change to 3, but I don't need that last sentence. What's your guys' reaction to that?
Well, he would know best. I mean,
Well, John feels you give him 4%, you're gonna put pressure on the board to spend it. And you know, John's very frugal with the city's money.
Well, I think if they actually need more money, they will go to bond for whatever they need. So I guess we could take that out and it wouldn't affect anything.
Yeah, we're giving them more leeway as it is, right? We're giving them 50% more funds that they can do without voter approval. And to me, as he said it, I was like, yeah, you know, maybe we did go overboard on the flexibility here, and maybe we should, you know, reverse it back. All
I'm
right,
okay.
8 o'clock.
Hi, Daddy.
Hi, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, son.
Yeah.
You gotta go to bed, buddy, now?
Yep. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, good night.
Grade 7 tomorrow. His last day as a 6-year-old.
Oh, wow.
All right, buddy. Love you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right.
Sweet dreams.
All right. So everybody said we're okay with it,
Yeah, taking that out.
And then just 2 paragraphs down, we need to change this number to 3% as well. So just to make it consistent. And then, yeah, instead of down here in terms of the merit system, just changing the personnel director is never described in detail. It was actually, probably should change that to chief of staff, right? To have the chief of staff be the one who, on the recommendation of the mayor or the chief of staff, the board of aldermen may from time to time change what the merit system is.
Yeah, at the time when that was done, there was no personnel director. It was the administrative assistant.
Right. And that's when the feeling was like, if there's any recommendation, it should bubble up through the chief of staff. People are okay with that.
Yep.
Then that's all I had, unless Ruth Ann and Darlissa, you had any other corrections that I didn't.
I don't think so. There wasn't much change on the end, the last chapter.
Good. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take a turn on this document and get it back to all of you and Corporation Counsel tomorrow. The only substantive issue we have outstanding is that issue of whether or not you need the 4-year term to have the representation as we laid it out. So I'm going to get clarity from him on that. And as soon as I get clarity from him, I'll email all of you. But, take the document that I send out tomorrow and read it through again. Fran is going to come back with some wording changes that we can review next Monday. And then my guess is late next week, we'll have a meeting to approve this. And the only question being is, do you guys want to do that live or do you want to do it over Zoom? You can go either way with it.
I would rather do it live.
Yeah, for the official vote.
I agree. What day next week?
Don't know yet. I think it depends. We have to talk about where we are on Monday. If we have everything resolved on Monday, then we should be able to do it and we'll decide what's best for everybody. It'll have to be during the day again.
Well, Dan, could we just tentatively pick a day?
Sure. Let's tentatively pick a day.
Well, if we do a day, that's Thursday day is the only day I'm not available. Or Thursday afternoon, just morning, I'm not.
Okay. We could.
And Wednesday night, but if it's going to be day, that won't be an issue. Or Tuesday day might not be good either. Sorry, I babysit.
I completely understand. Well, how is, and Sophia obviously has to check availability, but how is Wednesday the 1st at 1 p.m.?
I'll know tomorrow morning and I'll email you guys all at first thing in the morning of what dates are available. How's that? And then we could
Go
converse
there.
on what's available and what's not.
Well, it could be in either room, right? We don't have to be in the auditorium.
Correct, but you don't understand. It's booked right now.
Okay.
P&Z has everything booked.
Yeah, but they have both rooms, the auditorium and the other
Yes.
room?
Yes. So that's why I have to see what I could finagle, and
Okay,
even if we meet in 104.
right.
Got it. So let's definitely say we're going to meet again next Monday. And let's potentially say we're going to meet next Wednesday at 1, depending on room availability. So that's tentative. We'll firm that up as soon as we know the room availability.
And Monday's virtual at 7, right?
Monday's virtual at 7, and we'll clean up any language issues that we have from the version I'm going to send out tomorrow. And then, gang, we should be good to go. Good. Anything else that you guys had for the good of the order tonight? I feel like we've been doing this for about 10 years now. I feel like the commission's been going on since the last commission.
We've been doing it for over 10 years.
I know.
Right, Ruth Ann?
Yeah, I have.
But it feels good to be in the home stretch, guys. I'm proud of the work that we've done, and I think we've got a lot of good changes here. So
Hey, Dan, the only suggestion I would like to make is that, you know, whether we have an appointment or we ask the press to come to one of our meetings to ask some questions, I'm not sure the reporting by the press has been accurate.
yeah, I'll talk to Brian about that, but like, and we'll make sure that Brian in the Connecticut Post and Brian from the Herald and the Connecticut Post and others.
Maybe they attend our meeting, they could ask questions, we could be there to answer them.
I think that's a good idea, Gary.
Okay.
That's a very good idea. Good. Anything else for the good of the order?
Stay
Not at
cool,
this time.
everybody.
Yeah.
All right, guys, and then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Darlissa, is there a second?
Second,
Second by Ruth Ann, all those in favor?
Bye.
aye.
All right, guys, have a good week.
Good night,
You
everybody.
too.
Guys,
See you next week.